It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out. And tonight's guest is a very good friend of mine in real life named Adrienne. And I have to say that from the moment I first was in Adrienne's presence, it was almost like love at first sight in a friendship way because she is a really, she has a very powerful presence. An event we were just at, and I went up to her afterward and we decided to have breakfast together. And that was like, what, Adrienne, like almost, I don't know, 9-ish months
Yep,
ago that we first met.
yep.
And we've become good friends. And one thing I didn't realize that that she had was a background in having a narcissistic parent. And so we've talked about talking openly about this here, and she's agreed to do so. But I really like that Adrienne is not one of those broken people whose life was destroyed by growing up with a narcissistic parent. Um, she'll talk about her experience, but I think that she's really reaped some benefits out of an awful situation. So Adrienne, you want to just introduce yourself, and thank you so much for coming on and talking openly about this topic, which is, it can be difficult.
It's actually an honor for me to be here and to be with your audience. And so thank you for this time. So my name is Adrienne. I am a happily married 50-year-old woman who's decided to make the second half of her life as rich and rewarding and productive and meaningful as possible. I have an amazing husband that is extremely supportive of me and my growing pains as a woman and person. I have the most amazing stepkids that ever walked the planet. Never once gave me anything but true joy and normal parental grief. And I want to give a shout out to my brother, who's 8 years older than me, who's probably been a bigger part of my healing than he'll ever know. Even I don't know if he was able to join or not. And that's me. And I've started my own business, having spent 25 years under a corporate thumb and wanting to make the world a better place. So I decided to leave that behind.
So what made you decide that you actually want to talk about something like narcissistic abuse from a parent, especially a mother? Why now?
Well, all right, it's very simple. I don't want to hide. I think I have nothing to be embarrassed about. And I used to feel shame, real shame, like what's wrong with me? I don't feel that anymore. And I think exposing vulnerability is the sign of mental health. It's okay. And I want to help others. And I also think this is a huge part of my healing.
So how did you know, we talked about this, like, so as a child, how did you know that something was off? Because, in this community, especially the clients and people that Chris and I deal with, many of our people have children and their ex happens to have some kind of issue, whether it's a personality disorder or just being a problematic person to deal with. And one of our biggest concerns is, how are my kids going to be okay? There's a friend of mine that I met who's in her 70s, and she had been married to a narcissistic husband. And she said that even though her kids got a lot of help and they were okay, that they would always walk with a limp. Like she felt like no matter what, it would still affect them. But I don't get that sense from you, and that's part of the reason why I wanted you to talk about today. So at what point did you realize that something was wrong? And
I,
just tell us.
I think I knew when I was quite young, but I do have an air of naivete that I don't want to shake anymore. So I bopped around thinking, oh yeah, everything's okay and whatever. But I think in the back of my mind, I always knew something wasn't right. I remember when I was a little girl and I was doing basketball, and I went the wrong way in the game. And I was mortified. I was a little girl and I went the wrong way. And thank God I missed the basket, didn't score for the other team. But when I got home, I was crushed. And my mom's like, you embarrassed me. And I was, I embarrassed you? You know? And it just, that was kind of an inkling for me that I wasn't going to get the support. I mean, I couldn't articulate this as a little girl, but it was the first inkling that I wasn't going to have mommy's shoulder.
And what about like as you got older? Because you're mentioning now that's like at a really young age. Did you look at other kids and their mothers and their parents together and compare, or
Yes.
what was that like?
I don't use the phrase mommy's shoulder very, very lightly. I had a good childhood friend, and she had said to me that the safest place in the world was her mom's shoulder. I was like, oh, not mine. And that was like, I had like a visceral reaction. I was like, not me. For me, it was dad. You know, it was dad or an I Love Lucy rerun. That's where I felt good.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, let's talk a bit about your dad. Tell us about your dad, because often people who grow up with a narcissistic mother are really angry at their father for staying and not protecting them enough.
My feelings about my dad can be complex with that, and I'm welling up, audience, because I really just lost my father in November, and my father and I were extremely close, extremely close. I think I got through a lot of it because I just had such a great relationship with my dad. He was my touchstone. He always, I felt safe in his arms. He always made me feel good. We could sit in the kitchen after school and just sit and read the paper or listen to classical music. I just felt better in his presence. Um, as I got older, I wish he had just left her and taken us. And I don't care about any money or staying in where I grew up in a relatively affluent area in New Jersey. I wish he had just grabbed us and left. But a couple of months before he died, I did say, Daddy, I wish you had just left her and grabbed her and grabbed us and left. And he explained that he kind of really couldn't. And I don't think that generation was equipped to deal with mental illness like we are now. And my dad, like, no, nobody's an angel, but my dad was really pure of heart. So I think he was just like, what's wrong with this woman? I don't want to put words in my late father's mouth, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. But he kind of, he did apologize. He's like, I'm sorry I didn't leave. And that was fine for me.
What do you think would have happened if he had left?
I'm not so sure it would have been pretty either, because the classic abused child stays with the abuser. I was very close to my mother. We were like the Bobbsey twins, shopping, and she took me to sports and the park and all of that. And I probably would have sided with her. And I think I want to be fair to my mother. I don't want this to be a bashing, because she's a human being who worked really, really hard and had her own disappointments that probably made her the way that she's made. And this is about my healing, not about bashing my mother. I just wanted to share that with everybody. And I do have real pain over it. But I think she might have used us as pawns. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't use us as pawns.
So you think if your father had left, that she probably would have weaponized you against your father, and you might have lost your father from your life?
I think I don't think I would have lost my father from my life, but I think it would have been I think she would have weaponized us. She weaponized everything. And that's a fact. That's not a bashing of her. That's just what she did. But I don't think my father was going to give up his kids.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think he was going to give up his kids. My dad spent years in Italy when his father was here, going back and forth, and my dad's family is amazing. They're just really good people. And I think my dad wouldn't want to be absent from our lives where his dad had to be, as to build a life in America. So I don't know if I was clear on that,
Yeah.
but
Well, so what you just said about how your mom, it's interesting because on one hand, you knew something was wrong emotionally with your mom not having that shoulder, like your mom's shoulder, to be this comforting place. But then you also just said that you and your mom were really close. So
but that,
what?
yeah, no, but that concept, what is that trait? I mean, again, I'm in financial services. I'm not. I just based off what I've read. But what's that symptom? Grandiosity and larger than life, and everything with when my mother was a party. We're gonna go to the mall, and we're gonna go to the zoo, and we're gonna go get lunch, and we're going to go buy jeans, and then we're going to go to Bloomingdale's, and then we're going to look at expensive fit. How could you not want to be around? And my mother was she's lovely, right? She just had a lovely face. She's just like, how would you not want to be around that?
Yeah. But then at the same time, you said that when your friend talked about her mother's shoulder being the most comforting place, you said you had a visceral reaction.
Having fun isn't safety.
Okay, so talk about safety.
It was daddy or myself. Or
what would happen? What would happen when you would turn to her? Did you ever try to turn to her for safety?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I did have that. I still have that air of, of naivete. And why wouldn't you go to mom? Right? Why wouldn't you go to mommy? But I never got that warmth. I never got that. Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. Mommy's here. You never got that. All you got was fight, 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 fight. Don't give in. Never any softness. And sometimes somebody just wants their skin knee kissed, and
yeah.
My dad was good for that. My dad was really good for. I remember. I can't share anything else. I'm sharing everything with your audience. I had a miscarriage, and my parents had to take me to the doctor afterwards because my husband couldn't. And I remember when my dad picked me up, I fell in his arms, and he didn't say a word. He just let me cry, and he rubbed my head, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. I can go now. That was my dad.
Yeah. What about your mom? What did your mom do in that situation? I mean, that's extreme.
To be fair to her, nothing. She just didn't. She was there. I mean, I do have a couple of memories of my mother that are so precious to me, where I think her real heart might have come through. And when I think of like mommy, I think of like those moments. But other than that, it was just, and I think the older she got, the sicker she got. And the older she got, the weaker she got. So she didn't have the strength to hide. I don't want to, to hide that real dark core, right, of what goes on in a narcissist's mind. And my mother was diagnosed with it, so I'm not just throwing the term around.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, Adrienne.
Yeah. I'm just not throwing because I hate. No. She was diagnosed.
That's the whole story. Like I'm thinking, because most.
Yeah.
How did she even get to that? How did you get to that point? That's really hard to get a diagnosis.
Because keep in mind, she's elderly now and she's sick. And when you don't have the strength to hide mental illness, everything starts to come out, and the erratic behavior and not being able to take care of yourself, and then being physically sick and the falling, and finally getting in front of the right doctors. Like, there's a problem here. There's really a problem here.
Okay, so I don't know if you could see it, but there's a question. We know your father passed away. Is your mom still with you?
My mother's still alive. She's in assisted living, getting absolutely the best care really the best care. And she deserves it because she worked her butt off, because I'm going to give my mother was a worker. My mother wasn't given anything, and she worked like a dog. So she's receiving absolutely the best care in the world. And my brother is her caretaker. And without my brother, I don't know how I would handle it, because then I would have to be in contact with her. And
so you're not in contact with her.
And my brother's, if she needs real care, I'll help. But in terms of softness, visits, no, I'm not gonna do that. But my brother's been really supportive of me needing to heal myself.
Yeah. So back to the thing with the diagnosis. Did she get diagnosed as she was an older person? Oh, wow. Okay. I want to talk about something you said that I thought was a great line. You said, my dad taught me how to be a wife.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
My dad was a Renaissance man. He really was. He used to say, a woman can go out of the house and work if it's for her. But it's okay if a woman stays home. A woman's got to do what's right for her. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he always said, you'll be a better mom if you're doing what's right for yourself. Yeah, he was kind of a Renaissance man. This man was born in the 30s, right? But he really taught me how to be a wife and be true to yourself. Then you'll be happy, and then you'll be a better partner. He he taught me how to nourish, how to cherish. He would talk to me about when I started dating my husband. He had an instant like for my husband, and he would say, "See how he is as a father, Adrienne. That's the most important thing. If he's a good father, then he's a good man." Like all those types of advice, and really teaching me how to love, because my dad loved purely. He really did. At his service, one of my cousins said, "Adrienne, every one of us thought we were his favorite niece or nephew." He made it
I
all.
love that quality. I think that is one of the best qualities that a person can have, is that everyone they come in contact feels like they're the
Yeah,
closest one.
yeah. So that was
Yeah.
my dad. He really taught me how to be a wife. And my first
Now,
emulated my mother, and that was not great.
I was just about to, you read my mind. I was just writing first husband. Okay. So I think someone might have made a comment earlier, but we often talk about how we marry our parents. And often when there's a difficult parent, we haven't worked it out, which most of us haven't because we don't know what's going on, is we marry that person. Even if it's the same, your mom's same sex, obviously you married a man who was your husband, but what similarities do you think were there? And also, what did your mom think of your first husband?
Oh, my mother did not like my first husband at all. And he did not like her at all. They actually loathed each other. And by the end, they did not like each other. By the end, they loathed each other. I think it's because you loathe in others what you loathe in yourself. That's just
Mm.
that's what I think. Um, but my mother was just you marry your father. I didn't. I married my mother. I really married my mother. The same. I very threatened if I did well, and, and the response of my any success that I had was not greeted with "way to go." I don't know how that would look on the camera, like "way to go," but greeted more
Yeah.
like "oh, but oh, okay, next," that kind of thing. Um, so it just, but when I met my husband, I
You
totally,
married your
I
father?
totally,
Yeah.
I totally married my dad. I totally did.
Yeah. So another word that flashed in my mind before when we were talking about weaponizing was the word loyalty. Did you notice anything with that and your mom, like with loyalty, where you had to pick sides, or I have
Yeah,
another question that I'm thinking about, but I mean, that's generally an issue with narcissistic people, is like, you're either with me or you're against me.
the beginning of the end. I would say the most painful thing that has ever happened to me with my mother was when I was getting married the first time. And I was very much in love. I was very much in love. I was going to marry him whether my parents approved or not. In fact, I mean, I don't have to protect my father anymore. I told my dad I was going to marry my ex-husband weeks before I told my mom. I just said, "Dad, I'm going to marry so and so," and he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "Okay, I'm there for you, whatever, And I'm like, I don't have the courage yet to tell mom, and he's like, "Okay, I'm there for you." I don't know where. Anyway, long story short, we had a blow up over a wedding video. My ex didn't want one, and because he didn't want one, I didn't want one. I really didn't want one either, right? I had visions of like 1988 with the satin jackets and the video. I wanted no part of it. Okay, I just wanted no part of it, and
I'm being
right,
wedding singer.
yeah. And to anybody on the call, if you had one, salute, great, it's your wedding, okay. But my mom insisted on having one because she wanted to have a videotape of my grandparents, who were too old to go, but that's a whole other story. And to share a little vulnerability with your audience here, when I put my foot down that I didn't want one, she called me a spoiled bitch, and she threw the leather portfolio at me and said, "You're a spoiled bitch. And if you're not going to have a wedding video, I'm not going to help you plan it. I'll pay for it, but I want no part of it." And that was probably the beginning of the end. That was 1998, 1999. But that was the beginning of the end. Back then, granted, I was 26, but I never forgave her for that. I couldn't forgive her for that. I know it's the Christian thing to do, to forgive, but I couldn't do it, especially when my daughter came into my life. Because I'm like, how do you do that to your little girl? I'd kill somebody. And I shouldn't say this online, but I would kill somebody that hurt my child. And expect to be acquitted, by the way. But then to purposely inflict pain like that, that was the beginning of the end. That was really the beginning of the end. And really up until a couple of years ago when she and I were still talking, I asked her for an apology and she couldn't do it. She said, "I thought you didn't want it because of him." And I said, "What's wrong with a woman putting her husband above her parents?" And she couldn't apologize. She couldn't apologize. She couldn't apologize.
Adrienne, did she apologize for anything ever? Could you ever remember her taking accountability?
No. 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 I mean, I don't know. I mean, my mother was very successful personally, professionally, very smart, very driven, achieved a real level of success with no support. I mean, my father was very supportive of her, but her parents didn't support her for shit. And for that, I have a shred of sympathy, because my mother was once a little girl too, right? We all had little girl dreams and aspirations. But my thing here, guys, is when you bring life into this world, whether you give birth, adopt, foster, or agree to love a child, we don't have the luxury of bringing that crap into their life. We just don't. And to those that have their spouses are narcissists or we don't. We have to put the next generation first. And that's, to your point, like, why didn't she break me? Because I wasn't going to be that. I wasn't going to be that to my kid. And as a stepmother, I was going to be that. Oh, please. Being a step parent is hard enough as it is. You think I'm going to want to be the evil stepmother? No. So that's why it didn't break me, because I got my dad's capacity to love.
So let's talk about, so you're the girl, the daughter, and you also have a brother. So he was the son of a narcissistic mother, and I've seen a few cases of how boys are affected by having a narcissistic mother. Just in my limited experience, I've seen boys that don't have a voice. I've seen boys that have a very hard time coming up with an opinion of anything, because their mother has answered for them, and boys who have a very hard time having close, intimate relationships with other people, not just romantically, but even close friendships, because the mother wants to come first and has said that no one is good enough for her son. And it's also, I've seen that same thing with daughters too, but they inject themselves so that other people aren't able to get close to their son. And I imagine it's similar on some level to daughters. What do you think the difference was, or do you think your brother was affected by your mother in any way, or do you see any differences?
Oh, absolutely. How could you not be affected, right? This is the woman that gave birth to you or raised you, whatever. They're supposed to love you more than anything. My brother's story is my brother's story, but what I can say is the things that I've observed. I definitely think he's affected, because whether you needing mommy or a maternal figure, to me, is gender neutral. You need that nurturing, and whether you're a boy or a girl, you need some sort of maternal nurturing from someone. An aunt, a mom, and we just didn't get that. Though I think for a couple of years she really tried, to be fair. I think she tried. But I think my biggest story for my brother is my brother was dating, because this is a story that I witnessed, so I feel comfortable saying. he had broken up with a girl, and my mother wasn't ready to meet anybody else because that breakup was too hard on her.
Oh, on
On
her.
her. And my brother dated somebody and brought them home, and my mother wouldn't meet them, wouldn't let them in the house. I'm not ready. And I witnessed it. That's why I feel comfortable saying this. And I remember thinking, Andrew, why would you do that to mommy? Mommy made it clear. Andrew, you're wrong. Why would you do that to mommy? What is that? Now, as an adult, if your child is opening up their life to you, whether you're in the mood, whether you were bleaching your mustache, whether you needed to shave your legs, whether you wanted to have a glass of wine and go to bed, you put lipstick on, you pinch your cheeks, and you say, welcome to my home. It's that simple to me, because, and then that's a story that kills me. And I witnessed it. That's why I feel comfortable sharing that. So I do think my brother was affected. Yeah, I do think my brother was affected.
And now he's the caretaker. Do you feel how do you feel about, you've removed yourself in most ways from her presence, and he has to deal with that.
But she's also removed me.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I don't, she made it pretty clear that it would be best if Andrew probably did some stuff for her.
And how do you feel about being removed from a parent's life? Because often we think, okay, well, we can choose, but a parent is always supposed to be there, even though she wasn't emotionally. But you did say that growing up, like, you felt like you were close with the other stuff.
It just got really hard for her. The happier the happier I became, she just, I was very triggering to her. I think the last time we talked, that was a cause of she was getting, I would trigger panic attacks in her. She just, when my father was alive the past year, I said, Daddy, mommy doesn't do well with me. And he said, I won't deny it. She doesn't. But why I'm doing this and sharing this with you guys, I was mortified. I'm not mortified anymore. We can't define ourselves by this stuff, right? We just can't.
Yeah. Someone asked, was there a golden child and a scapegoat in the family? Like one child was the favored one?
Yes, but then those roles reversed.
Yes.
Yeah, so then I became the scapegoat, and then my brother became the golden child. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I used to. So
yeah. Okay.
It's your mom, and I used to, but I don't anymore, and that scares me a little.
So you talked about the need for like maternal, and it doesn't even have to be female, because your father was almost like your maternal, or that nurturing person, and now unfortunately he's passed away and your mom's still alive and you don't miss her. Like, who do you go to for that comfort? I mean, I already know the answer, I think, but who do you go for that comfort?
Like, when I say I don't, it was up until a couple of months ago where I would, like when I would be dressing for an event, my mom had impeccable taste, and we would shop and we would buy clothes, and she really had this impeccable taste, really put together gal. And I would miss that, like that part of it, like the good stuff, kind of good stuff. But then I realized what, so I cease missing that because I just hold on to those memories, and I can't forget the other. I know what I'm saying. I'm getting a little facockled, but I don't, because well, that question, I missed that, but I don't even miss that anymore. I hold on to that. I hold on to taking care of the things that I am responsible for her. I absolutely treat her with the utmost respect. This woman worked hard. She's a human being. She's my mother. She gave birth to me. I want to make sure she's taken care of. I work with my brother on that. I'm still responsible for all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like the maternal thing, my friends, my husband, myself.
Yeah. So speaking of impeccable taste, one of the questions I was going to ask is how you think you were affected by being raised by someone like her. And I know you in real life and you do have impeccable taste, but Adrienne is really polished all the time. But what are some ways you think that this deeply affected you, like it made you who you are in a good and bad way?
In a bad way, never trusting my instincts, always second guessing myself. You know, there's a scene in Star Wars where like Jedi mind trick, like those aren't the droids we're looking for. Like that, my mother could do the Jedi mind trick on me like crazy. So it got to the point where I didn't believe myself about anything, and it's affected over the years at work, not listening to my instincts and relationships. Uh, it's taken me a long time to trust my own instincts. That's taken me a bit in a positive way. And nobody's gonna put baby in a corner. Life is short. Life is really short, and I want to live it, and I don't want to be in pain anymore, right? I have people in my life that I love. I'm blessed beyond belief with my family and my friends, and and there are others that have real pain. They have real pain too. So you just pick up the pieces and move forward.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, so besides a positive thing that came out of this, because you didn't really answer that question, Adrienne, is you have impeccable taste, but um, let's talk about, I'm going to make you say it. What kind of intelligence have you developed, do you think?
Oh, emotional intelligence.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, you're right. It's I'm developing, because you're always working on it, right? A real healthy way of looking at things, and sometimes I really try to analyze, like, why am I mad? Am I sad? Why am I feeling this way? I don't want to, I really want to know why I'm feeling a certain way so I can respond and really make myself better or make the situation be better. I just don't want to flail emotionally and just, oh, the world's against. No, I really want to have a mature, emotionally intelligent outlook on life and my feelings and the role that I play in my life, in my mental health, and in my family. Like, I just don't want to be, I'm not perfect. God, I can be a pain in the ass. But it's important to me to really be emotionally intelligent.
Okay, you're still not giving me the answer that I'm looking for, knowing you pretty well just in these past few months. And the emotional intelligence I'm talking about isn't just for your own emotional intelligence, but to me, you're somebody who is very good at assessing other people's feelings. And this, I know, has made you do well in your career. You seem to be very in tune with people's feelings. You have a tremendous amount of empathy. And do you think any of that comes from growing up in a household when we know when there's a narcissistic parent, their needs come first? It's all about like, what do they need? How can I please them? How can I take care of their emotions? We know that they often parentify children. Children become responsible for the adults' feelings. So, however it happened, but I sense you as being those like keenly emotionally aware of other people's feelings. You're ultra sensitive. You're very caring and nurturing yourself, and that's certainly led you to your career success.
Thank you for that. And it is, other people's feelings are important to me. And having a conversation with somebody and really understanding why someone is communicating what they're communicating to me. There must be a reason why somebody's telling me something. So let me try to understand so we can have a real exchange of have a real human interaction. That's very important to me.
Yeah.
That's,
So
people are important to me.
also, you had mentioned at the beginning of this that you did a big career change, and that part of it was part of your healing. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing, I got into my previous career to prove my mother wrong. I came home from my first day of work in New York City with my navy blue suit on, my Mary Tyler Moore pumps on, and my pearls, and was all excited talking about my job. And my mother goes, Adrienne, do you think this job is for you? So I spent 25 years proving her wrong. But I also realized the further and further I was going along in my career, the further and further I was getting away from helping people. I'd spent years really affecting people's lives negatively by restructuring and layoffs and all. I couldn't do that anymore. And I wasn't helping anybody anymore. So I just said, that's it. That's it. I'm going to do what I've always wanted to do. I'm going to leave that career, start the career that I'm in now, and I'm actually going to make a difference and find a way to help people. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys, I'm still in financial services in a way. It's, I'm but to help people, not to help the corporate rat.
So we just got a comment in. I don't know if you want to talk about this with yourself, Adrienne, but my mom would not teach us about emotional regulation, so I had to learn this skill on my own. Was your mom able to regulate her own emotions? Like you said, she tried for a while.
She did.
You want to get into that? And how did you learn to regulate your own emotions?
My mother raised me to be a combination of the Queen Mom, Jackie Kennedy, and Eleanor Roosevelt. Those three women did not rail. So that's how my mother raised me to be, because that was the ideal woman, right? But I just, forgive me, I just didn't want to rail like she did. I just didn't want to be crazy. I just wanted Twinkies and come home after school, and I just wanted normalcy. So that's how I learned to regulate my emotions, and it's something I work on all the time. I do feel clearly. I mean, I do feel like I'm the questions and the comments that I'm seeing from the audience, like I'm feeling them. I'm like, oh my God, really? Oh, but feeling doesn't give you the right to flail and be crazy. That primal scream. No. So I had to teach myself
Yeah, I mean,
to please my mother. Because when you're 15, it's very easy to be the Queen Mom, Jackie Kennedy, and Eleanor Roosevelt.
so yeah, I love this description. I can't believe you had it like right off the top of your head like that too. So thinking about the people that are probably going to watching this now and who will watch it later, who are raising kids with maybe not just narcissistic mothers, but a narcissistic father, if you had to give them advice, you know they're terrified that their kids are going to be destroyed for life because of that parent and having to live under that person's roof, or even if they're separate, because a lot of our people are divorced or separated, but sending that kid alone to be parented by someone whose behavior they can't control, that other person can't regulate their emotions, that other person makes the kids put his or her needs first, the parents' needs first. Is there any advice you could give to somebody who's like, oh no, my kid is going to be ruined because they have a parent like that, and I just want my kids to be okay?
It's heavy, and this is my advice. The only thing that we can do as parents, as good parents, is consistency. You're the consistent parent. Be the consistent parent. Be there for them when they fail. Be there for them when they succeed. Discipline them when they need it. Praise them when they need it. Always just be the consistent parent. Don't try to overcompensate. It's consistency. And I will say this, and I saw this in your post, we are smarter. Kids are smarter than adults realize. And we will eventually see it. It may not be on the schedule we would like as parents, but kids will eventually see it. And all we can do for them as parents is just be there for them consistently. Now we're not talking in cases of like physicality. That's a whole other thing, but we're talking about that narcissistic black hole. We can just be the consistent parent and listen to them and be there for them. That's what my dad did for me. And it was just
Yeah.
spots of heaven. I mean, I'm saying, like, trust me, my dad got mad at me. It wasn't like, anything like that. And my dad did leave some of the heavy lifting with my mother when it came to certain like feminine things. I just want to be fair. But that's my advice, is just the consistency.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Adrienne. I don't know if there's anything else I forgot to ask you or anything else you want to say about this.
I just want to share and thank you for this. I'm not angry. Maybe I get angry every now and then. I'm proud of my mom for certain things that she accomplished. I wish she had the capacity to love herself, because that's where this starts, right? They don't love themselves. But I love myself more. And I think that's okay. And that doesn't make me a narcissist. It makes me wanting to be healthy. Eric Clapton said this in his book, and I heard he's a little wacky, but he said this in his book about his sobriety. He said, I wish I could say I love my wife and my kids more than anything, but I have to love my sobriety first so I can be there for them. It's a very attitude of thinking. But and that resonated with me, because that says, like, I need to love myself and be healthy so I can be a good wife, and we can have a good marriage, and I can have new friends in my life, and I can be good to my clients, and I can enjoy my kids, and if they have kids and all of that, you know?
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Adrienne.
you.
Thanks for doing this. All right. Take care, everyone, and see you in a couple days, Adrienne. Bye.